following is a paid advertisement program provided by Premier Investments and Wealth Management. An airing of the program is not to be considered an endorsement or recommendation. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts, guests and callers and not necessarily of KFXR or iHeartMedia. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.
The views and opinions of this show are those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management, their guests alone, and do not reflect any other entities. The information in the following program should not be construed as an offer to sell and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax advisor or legal counsel. Statements in this program do not reflect those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management, LPL Financial, or their affiliates. Hello there, and welcome to the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program on Talk Radio 1190, 1190talkradio.com on your iHeartRadio app. I'm Doug Wagner, along with Roger Abel. He is the owner and wealth advisor at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry, and he's the accredited investment fiduciary. Introducing, once again, the big kahuna, Roger Abel.
You picked it up this time. I don't even know how I got this big kahuna title. I don't even like Hawaii.
You know,
Nothing. I don't like to. I like Hawaii. I just don't like to travel
there was
to
Rook
Hawaii.
before. I made a big kahuna because you're the big kahuna. You're the owner of Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Go to premieriwm.com. Check out what they have for you. They've got lots of really good downloadable information, podcasts. They've got vlogs. They've got all sorts of books, just information galore. On top of that, if you click on Get Started on the upper right hand of the page at premieriwm.com, just fill in the questions and answer those. They will produce for you a one-page Premier Vision document. This can be the roadmap for your financial future. If you're worried, you go to sleep at night and you're thinking, am I ready for retirement? Or am I going to have enough money so that my kids can go to the college they want to go to if that's where they're going to go? They will help you get to that point. But it all starts at premieriwm.com. Click Get Started. Fill out the information on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, or you can do it on your workstation if you're at work, so you can do it there. Roger Abel, we need to talk a little bit here about the 15 ways to strengthen your finances ahead of a possible recession. But if people want to call to make an appointment right now, what's the phone number?
800-383-6590.
There's analysis by BCA Research. They tell us a little bit about the economy here as reported by Fox Business. What are they talking about, Roger?
I think they're gearing up for a potential recession, which, the question is it mild? Is it severe? We don't know. We're not predictors. But we believe in just preparing for things. And one thing I know is most recessions, interest rates peak before the recession, and we're now getting a little bit of insight that maybe the Federal Reserve is going to lower interest rates.
Yeah.
So if there is a recession, it may be coming. And I think the economic data shows that there are pockets of the economy in the United States that may be in actually a rolling recession where there's different pockets doing worse. I know some areas housing is starting to go down in price a little bit. There's a lot more active listings, although there's still places in the U.S. that housing's on fire.
Yeah, in the upper Midwest Farm Belt, they say that I read a report there. They say farm land prices are going to continue dropping through 2024 into 2025 as well. I just got off the air today. I talked about a Federal Reserve Bank president who said they're setting up for a rate cut sometime.
So if everybody's expecting rate cuts and a possible recession, we thought today's show would be good to talk about how do you actually prepare for this? Because a recession, I think part of the problem with this recession, word is everybody remembers the last one.
Yeah.
which was arguably the worst economic time since the Great Depression. So not all recessions mean doom and gloom.
Right.
In fact, I think we just on the last show, we talked about the 80s. We had 2 recessions during the 1980s.
Yeah.
And the stock market averaged 17.6%. So we can have a recession
Yeah.
and it's all okay, but it still makes sense to gear up because recessions, here's what happens. People get laid off. Working becomes harder. Sometimes prices go up. We've seen prices go up. So let's talk about the 15 ways that we believe you can gear up for this. And the number one thing people can do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was still
No, that's fine. Roll, baby, roll.
The number one thing they can do is get an emergency fund. A lot of people already have an emergency fund, which in our world is 6 months of expenses.
Okay.
If you've had an emergency fund for 5, 6, 7 years, fully funded, you need to re-examine what fully funded means.
Yeah.
Prices of goods are up over 18% on average since 2020. You might need to increase your emergency fund 20%
Yeah.
to keep up with the rising cost of things.
And I'm going to say here, it's important at this point, if you won't know what your expenses are if you don't have a financial plan. I mean, really, if you have a financial plan, you know what your expenses are.
Yeah, it's impossible to do a financial plan because you have to have a budget.
Yeah.
So, yeah, step one is get a budget, but I kind of assume most people should be working at that.
Hope so.
There's so many great resources to do it. Just go get that and then figure out, hey, what does 6 months of expenses take? If you don't know what it is, it's pretty easy to figure out.
Right.
If you get $8,000 a month in your bank and you spend it all every month, your expenses are $8,000.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's some simple math that can be done, but let's get 6 months saved up in preparation of something bad happening.
Number two, this idea that, people, they say, oh, I'm going to get money back on my tax return. Oh, I'm going to go out and buy that brand new this, brand new that. Instead, you say,
reduce debt. Here's what's going to happen. And this happened in 2010 as credit delinquencies rise, banks start to pull back their reins. And a lot of people right now are living off home equity lines of credit. Well, I have this home equity line of credit. My house is worth so much. Okay. Well, let's play a scenario. You have a $800,000 house and you owe 6. So you owe 6, it's worth 8.
yeah,
Because of market appreciation. So now you have a $200,000 home equity line of credit. You borrow 100 on it and you're living off this credit now, right? Because if you're going in debt, you're not living on your paycheck, you're living off other things. The value of your house falls because the market gets flooded with inventory finally, and it's worth $650. Do you think the bank is going to redo your home equity line of credit? Or are they going to call it and make you pay it back? They're going to make you pay it back. So reduce your debt. This is a time to start getting your debt under control.
exactly.
Doesn't mean you have to accelerate and pay your house off, but if you have credit card debt, consumer debt, if you've got, phantom loans, buy now, pay later.
Right.
Let's start eliminating that stuff. And I think we're actually seeing that because I see the consumer pulling back the reins. I even look at my personal spending habits. As things have gotten more expensive, I think twice about stuff I'm buying. So start to reduce your debt, get that under control. So if you have an emergency, you have some available credit that you can start to use.
And you also worked your way into number 4 is reevaluate your budget, because you just did that with one sector. But if you do that for a whole bunch of different sectors, what are you prioritizing and how are you prioritizing?
What am I prioritizing my budget?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where you are. I mean, if you lost a job, obviously the number one thing in your budget is food and shelter. Everything else is kind of last. But when I look at my budget, and I believe, and I've talked about this for a decade, budgets are backwards. And anybody listening can go Google it. Just go Google budget worksheet and tell me what the number one thing on that, what the number one line item is after income. On every single worksheet, it's mortgage/rent.
Yeah.
I believe the number one line item on your budget should be you saving some percentage of your paycheck. You think about the normal person, how we work. We work 40 hours a week. Most people go to work on Monday and they work for somebody else all week long.
Yeah.
Every single dollar they earn goes to somebody else. What if you just kept the first pay, your first 4 hours of the week, you kept that money? We'd all be great as a society.
Yeah.
We
that
would,
be.
but we just don't think about it that way. We want to pay everybody else first. So I think budgets are backwards. Pay yourself first, then work your budget from there. But part of the reason you should be reevaluating the budget, the price of things have gotten astronomical. You know, if your grocery budget for a family of 4 used to be $200 a week, it's $300 now.
Yeah.
I mean, a box of macaroni is $2. I remember it was 39 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff is expensive now. I mean, I do all the grocery shopping, and I just hear $4.99, $6.99, $2.99, $3.99.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever 82 cents.
No, not anymore.
I mean, avocados, $3. Really? So evaluate your budget.
Yeah, makes sense. Premier Investments in Wealth Management Financial Program right here on Talk Radio 1190 or 1190talkradio.com and on the free iHeartRadio app too. Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel. Get a hold of him at premieriwm.com or call 800-383-6590. The 15 ways to strengthen your finances ahead of a possible recession. We're going to combine a couple of these here real quick. Diversity and investing in stable sectors and assets. Sort of put those things together because I think they sort of do go together.
Well, I mean, right now, the last year, there's been the artificial intelligence craze, and big tech companies have done really, really phenomenal. At some point, that doesn't continue forever. And This is where an individual just needs to take a look and say, hey, what does my portfolio really look like? And I'm not talking about deciding whether you should be in cash or in the market. I'm talking about how do you diversify within the stock market,
right,
to make sure you're not assuming more risk than you need to. And historically, how people like to pick investments, well, what did the best last year?
Yeah,
we'll choose that one. So, you know, arguably you're in big, large cap tech. Well, at some point it might not be the best. And depending upon what happens, if we get a recession, who the president is, the different economic policies that are going to be out there, it makes sense to just make sure that you have a well-diversified portfolio, not concentrated in any one sector.
In a world filled with financial complexity, who will help guide you toward a brighter financial future? Look no further than Premier Investments in Wealth Management, your partner in financial success. At Premier Investments in Wealth Management, our commitment goes beyond numbers. It's about understanding your unique goals, dreams, and challenges. Our financial planning process is personalized to help you implement strategies designed with the goal of maximizing your outcomes. Whether it's saving for retirement, building wealth, or preserving your family's future, we've got you covered. Our mission is to simplify the complex world of finance and empower you to make smart, informed decisions. Ready to take control of your financial destiny? Visit www.premieriwm.com to get started. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, where your financial independence begins.
15 ways to strengthen your finances if a possible recession occurs. A couple of things here. Continue to invest and avoid panic selling. This is something that we talked about in our last program. You have all the apocalypse du jour, and you can avoid that by just keeping your head down and keep on plowing money into the market.
The good news is, most people, Doug, are already doing this. If you have a 401k, this is probably what we call good investor behavior.
Yeah.
You're just automatically doing it all the time, and the results will speak for themselves. Dollar cost averaging, another name for it. But everybody who has a 401k is doing this. But some people believe when the market goes down, they should stop investing in their 401k. Yeah. And that's just 100% the wrong time to do it. And we've used the analogy for a long time. The stock market is the only place in America when it goes on sale that the parking lot is empty.
Yeah.
If Costco had a 50% off sale,
coupon clipping, baby,
you wouldn't find a place to park.
Yeah.
But boy, when the stock market's down 50%, it's crickets. There is no retail investor lining up to buy. In fact, most of them are looking to do. They're starting to think about selling.
Yeah.
Be exactly the wrong time to do that. So avoid panic selling. And I think one of the things that we do a good job of here at Premier Investments in Wealth Management is because we use a financial plan, we've helped individuals quantify what their risk capacity is, how much risk they need to take to be successful. And once an individual investor understands why they own a portfolio, they start to get conviction.
Yeah.
Without conviction, that's how you panic sell, because your portfolio doesn't have purpose. Part of working with us or any advisor should be putting purpose behind your investments. And purpose isn't just making money.
Yeah.
True purpose. What is it going to accomplish for me?
Find out more at premieriwm.com and really click Get Started. That's the whole thing. You answer those questions. They have the one-page Premier Vision document that they produce for you that really is your financial roadmap so you can answer some of these questions. So if there is a recession possible in the future, you have not only these ways, these 15 ways, but many more in order to get your head in the right place, get your finances in the right place as well. PremierIWM.com or call for an appointment at 800-383-6590. Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel and Talk Radio 1190. Other critical things, too. If you're heading into a recession, it's something where you should be doing this already. Figure out a way to create a multiple income stream. I mean, one word of note, check with your employer's HR department to make sure everything's good. I did. That's why we're sitting here talking right now, because you don't want Big Daddy to get upset with you and come down hard on you. But there is lots of ways that you can utilize your talents in an open market.
I think that this is one of the most unique things that has happened to the U.S. economy and probably the worldwide economy. I'm just not tied in as much in the, what's happening in Asia or Europe. But the ability to just have freelance work or a side hustle that you like. I think of 20 years ago, if you needed to have like a side hustle, you're like delivering pizzas.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to deliver pizzas. I mean, somebody does, but that doesn't seem like exciting.
No.
Now you can get on Fiverr, you can do Upwork. There's a place called TaskRabbit where you connect with people and you can help them complete their job.
Yeah.
So it's just a way that if you really want to get prepared and you're just skipping by, find a side hustle in the virtual world that you enjoy doing. Or if you're just trying to accelerate retirement, go find it. It's probably something you like to do. And most of us have a little bit extra time. I don't know what I was watching. Maybe it was a Dave Ramsey clip. And I forget the gentleman who's the employment expert. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? Yes, Coleman.
Yeah, Ken Coleman.
He's talking about how people are having two jobs right now.
Yeah.
Working at one time. Two virtual jobs working at once, and employers don't know. Mm-hmm. Well, they figured out that they can accomplish the full day's work in 4 hours, so they go get a second job, or they can work into the evening. But create multiple streams of income. You won't regret it.
I got one for you, by the way. If you want to be, on your off time, you could be like
because I have so much.
A fishing tour guide. That's what you can do. You go out there, you can take people on guided fishing trips.
Yeah, my wife would not appreciate that.
It depends on what the money is.
Yeah, I guarantee she would not appreciate that. Because she wouldn't see that as a side hustle. She would see that as a hobby that I've created a side hustle.
Another thing to do is live below your means. And I know a lot of people that seem scary to be able to say live below your means. It doesn't mean that you have to go from I remember back in the 70s even during the 80s, that my dad went from like old style to beer, the yellow can with the black BEER. You don't have to do that necessarily, but evaluating where your money's going out and how you're going to expend it.
I think that's well, you just explain there. People don't understand. They hear live below your means and they think live like you're poor.
Right.
What it really means is if I make $150,000, how about we live on 130?
Yeah.
That's it. Just spend less than you make. Unfortunately, in our society, that's not how it works.
Right.
Most people are spending more money than they're making. They don't realize they are. Think about this. They make $150,000. Okay, so they spent all their money throughout the year, and then they bought a car for $50,000. They really spent $200,000, but because they have a payment. Because we had a payment.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't really spend that.
Didn't think about that.
It's the phantom. Like living below your means is add up the money you spent, not your payments, how much money you spent. That's how you end up living above your means and not knowing it.
The one thing you taught me here is that you pay yourself first, and you're never gonna miss that money. When it goes away before you even see it out of your paycheck, boom, into your 401k, boom, into your IRA. You never see it. You don't miss it.
Nobody ever does.
That's a great way to live below your means right there.
Well, yeah, because you're forcing yourself to do it.
Yeah.
We're creatures of habit. We get the habit formed and it just sticks with us.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? The financial professionals at Premier Investments and Wealth Management are the guides you've been looking for. Picture this, a financial plan tailored exclusively to you. Our team of experienced professionals will work closely with you to understand your aspirations and develop a personalized roadmap to get you there. Whether you're dreaming of retirement, buying a new home, or sending your kids to college, we've got the tools to give you confidence in your financial life. We'll help you navigate saving and investing, retirement income, and tax strategies. Our job is not just about making money, it's about helping our clients make smart choices. We'll provide you with the tools and knowledge to confidently steer your financial ship toward a brighter future. Are you ready to embark on your financial journey with confidence? Visit www.premieriwm.com to get started. Your financial future awaits.
There's a couple of other things here. I know one, evaluating your housing costs if you're heading into a recession. Right now, it's really not a good time necessarily to do it because the rates are so high, and there's also everything's sort of lopsided. People are staying in their homes longer because the comparative rate that they had compared to where they are now, refinancing just doesn't make any sense. But monitor the market for that. Monitor your credit and monitor your insurance coverage, because in those three things, Roger, that area, people could actually save some money in one or all three of them.
Yeah, I think one of the big things happening nationwide is the cost of insurance is going up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you're following what's happening in California, but State Farm basically went into California and said, we need a 30% property insurance increase. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we have to exit the market.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the consumers to understand these insurance companies just don't get to go raise their rates. There's some approval process that's involved with this in the state insurance departments. But don't expect insurance to go down until the value of homes go down. Mm-hmm. Because the reason insurance cost is going up right now, Doug, is your house, the replacement cost in 2019 on a $500,000 house, to replace it today, it's about 30% higher. So now it's $650,000. Well, if you're being insured for replacement cost, it would make sense that your insurance would increase precipitously. Mm-hmm. So that may be a challenge. But one of the things to think about, if you bought a residence or a home or something in the last 2 years where you got into a 6.5 or 7 or maybe even an 8% interest rate, if rates come down, there may be opportunity for you to go refinance that, lower your payment.
Right.
One of the things I really caution people on by doing that, though, is maybe instead of lowering your payment, you should shorten the duration of your loan, the length of your loan. Mm-hmm. Because inherently what people do when they refinance is they took a 30-year mortgage 5 years ago. They have 25 left. And then the mortgage banker says, well, we can lower your payment $1,000 a month. Okay, that sounds good. And then they start the clock on a 30-year mortgage again. And if you look at a mortgage, for the first 15 years, it's almost all interest.
Yeah.
So if you're going to refinance, do it for the math and go from 25 years left on your mortgage to 15. Or keep your payment the same.
Or if you're in a position where there's no way to refinance, then put more money towards your housing payment.
Correct.
And pay more, or pay a housing payment twice a month. Or if you have the opportunity to do it every 6 weeks rather than just every, so just like every couple of weeks, do every month and then an extra one every month.
Well, so something I learned that I was taught by a mentor of mine is that if you can make one extra payment a year, it cuts 7 years off the mortgage.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
So just think about this. If your principal and interest is $2,000 a year, if you just start throwing an extra $200 a month on there, instead of saving a big wad of money, just throw a little bit extra. Yeah. Oh, great. Now we already knocked this down into the next stratosphere.
And you're not going to miss it.
You're never going to miss it.
That is so good. Roger Abel from Premier Investments and Wealth Management on Talk Radio 1190, 1190talkradio.com. Get in touch with them at premieriwm.com. A little bit over 5 minutes or under 5 minutes left in the program, Roger. Making sure that people are monitoring their credit, staying on top of that, because you increase your credit score, you drive down the interest rates that you pay. On top of that, you also make sure that you get anybody who's trying to scam you or get a hold of your money while you're not looking at it. We said reviewing your insurance coverage. It's part of being informed. Podcasts like this, programs like this are a great opportunity to become informed. Trade this podcast. Tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell your friend's neighbor about this program, Premier Investments and Wealth Management, because there's a lot of education and enlightenment going on here.
Yeah, so monitoring your credit, this has become pretty easy to do. Most banks now have your credit score on the side of your homepage. The best way to improve your credit is pay off your consumer debt.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't carry debt. That's really the best way to do it. But the real reason, if you're debt free, is to monitor and make sure you're not getting scammed, or someone hasn't opened an account, or you have an alert that's out there. And I think you said number 11, review your insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, reviewing insurance is important from time to time. I don't think price is the most important thing about insurance.
Yeah.
I think coverage is, but you should understand what your coverages are, and it's reasonable to compare and shop it amongst different companies. But here's the problem with doing that with insurance. Most insurance agents want to win on price.
Yeah.
Well, that means it's probably less coverage. So you just got to be careful here. Buy insurance for the right coverage, not because of price.
And because of service as well.
I buy because of service. I'm with a captive, large, nationwide company. I know it's probably not the best price, but the agent is very well experienced.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm well insured and they understand my needs. So I'm paying what I would call the convenience fee. And it's okay to not have the cheapest thing.
Right.
It is okay.
And making sure that you also have every deduction you're entitled to. And my kids were in high school. They were getting crazy grades, and that allowed the insurance price for them to go down, which was fabulous. Some other things, making sure that you're doing things to improve yourself through additional skill set training. One thing that I think is in here as well, building strong relationships, Roger. This is key. Just a couple of minutes left. If you have a relationship with a financial institution, like if I need some grace, they've known me for 30 years. They're going to give me some grace.
I think that is largely overlooked in the general population. I think individuals in the business world understand the value of this, but I've been with the same banker for 22 years. I've taken every single mortgage loan from this banker for 22 years. I don't shop the rate because when I need help, which hopefully I don't, but if I do, I know they're likely going to have my back.
Exactly.
If you go to a really large institution, they don't know who you are. They don't care. I walk into the local bank branch. They all know me. It takes me 30 minutes to get out. Hey, Raj, it's what it is. And if I don't say hi, they feel offended.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Exactly.
But I think that and here's the other thing about relationships. Elias, one of my advisors, and I had this conversation the other day. You never know where a relationship is going to take you. Networking isn't about, I think business owners think networking is really about getting more customers.
Yeah.
Networking is all about the next opportunity. Who you're going to meet that's going to offer you the next opportunity or the next something that's out there, because you never know where it's going to take you.
Or to whom you can offer an opportunity to better yourself.
100%.
Your company. Final thing, in these 15 different ways to make sure that you're prepared ahead of a recession for your finances, get in touch with a wealth advisor like Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Roger Abel, the team are ready for you at premieriwm.com. Head over there, click on Get Started, get your one-page Premier Vision document, and get that free no obligation consultation. They'll get in touch with you, but if you want to jumpstart things, call and make an appointment. Roger, what's the number?
800-383-6590.
Whether a recession is going to happen or whether it's not, spread this message to your friends. Use this podcast as a way of doing so. The Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program on 1190 talkradio.com and Talk Radio 1190. For Roger Abel, I'm Doug Wagner. We'll talk to you next time.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.